Brother and sister, today we have the profound privilege to share a testimony sent to us by a pastor from Iran. This testimony shows that indeed Jesus is alive and will always be with his people. Many people have not heard stories like this, but God has let it be known at this season. Kindly stay to the end to fully understand this experience. It will take courage to listen to this testimony and not shed tears, but I tell you, beloved, it's worth shedding tears for. Please comment below where you are watching from so we can connect, pray for one another, and build a family of faith across nations. You can also share your thoughts, your personal experiences with God, or a short prayer for others in the comment section. Let it be a place of love, encouragement, and unity. My name is Ahmed, though that is not my real name. For the safety of my family and the believers I serve, I cannot reveal my true identity. I am about to share with you the most extraordinary and terrifying experience of my life. What happened to me in the underground church movement of Iran not only changed my family but transformed the lives of over 300 Muslims who witnessed something that can only be described as a divine intervention. As I tell you this story, we are still in hiding, still moving from place to place, but I know this testimony must be shared because it proves that Jesus is alive and still protecting those who call upon his name. I was born and raised in Tehran, the capital city of Iran, in a deeply religious Muslim family. My father was a respected imam at one of the local mosques, and my grandfather before him had also been a religious teacher. From the time I could walk, I was being groomed to follow in their footsteps. I learned to recite the Quran in Arabic before I even understood what the words meant. I prayed 5 times a day without fail. I fasted during Ramadan with dedication that impressed even the elders in our community. By the age of 15, I was already teaching younger children about Islam at our mosque. My father would beam with pride when people complimented him on having such a devoted son. At 18, I entered seminary to study Islamic theology and law. Everything in my life was centered around my faith, my family's expectations, and my future as a religious leader. I had a clear path ahead of me, and I walked it with confidence and certainty. But God had different plans for my life, plans I could never have imagined. When I was 22 years old and in my final year of seminary, something happened that would change the entire direction of my life. A foreign student, a young man from Malaysia who was also studying at our institution, approached me one day after class. We had become friendly over the months, discussing theology and comparing our understanding of religious texts. He seemed genuinely interested in learning, and I enjoyed our conversations. One afternoon, he asked if we could meet privately. We went to a quiet tea house away from the seminary, and there, with trembling hands, he pulled out a book wrapped in newspaper. He looked around nervously before unwrapping it and sliding it across the table to me. It was a Bible, translated into Farsi, our Persian language. My first instinct was to push it away. Possessing a Bible in Iran is illegal. Being caught with one could mean imprisonment, interrogation, even torture. But my friend leaned forward and said something I will never forget. Ahmed, you are a seeker of truth. You have told me many times that you want to know God truly. Before you reject this book, read just one chapter. Just one. If it is false, you will know. But if it is true, your heart will recognize it. I should have refused. I should have reported him. But curiosity, or perhaps something deeper, something divine, made me take that book. I hid it under my coat and hurried home, my heart pounding the entire way. That night, after my family had gone to sleep, I pulled out the Bible and opened it to the Gospel of Matthew. I told myself I would read just one chapter to prove to myself that it was corrupted, as I had been taught all my life. But as I read the words of Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount, something inside me began to crack. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. These words were unlike anything I had encountered in all my years of religious study. There was a gentleness, a revolutionary love, a power in these teachings that shook me to my core. I read one chapter, then another, then another. By the time the sun rose, I had read the entire Gospel of Matthew. I was exhausted but also strangely alive, as if I had been asleep my whole life and was just now waking up. For the next 6 months, I read the Bible in secret every night, hiding it in different places in my room, terrified that my family would discover it. The more I read, the more questions filled my mind. Who was this Jesus who claimed to be the way, the truth, and the life? Why did his words have such power over my heart? Why did I feel drawn to him in a way I had never felt drawn to anything or anyone before? Then one night, everything changed. I had fallen asleep after reading the Gospel of John, and I had a dream that was more real than any waking moment I had ever experienced. In this dream, I found myself in a place of brilliant light, so bright it should have hurt my eyes, but instead it filled me with indescribable peace. And there, standing before me, was a man dressed in white, his face shining like the sun. I knew immediately who he was, though I had never seen him before. It was Jesus. He looked at me with eyes full of love and compassion, and he spoke my name, Ahmed. Just hearing him say my name made me fall to my knees, weeping. Then he said, "Follow me. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I have called you for a purpose. Do not be afraid." I woke up sobbing, my pillow soaked with tears. In that moment, I knew with absolute certainty that Jesus was real, that he was alive, and that he was calling me to follow him. But I also knew what this meant. In Iran, leaving Islam is considered apostasy, punishable by death. If I chose to follow Jesus, I would be risking everything, my family, my future, my very life. For weeks, I wrestled with this decision. I loved my family. I didn't want to bring shame upon them or put them in danger. But the call of Jesus was too strong to resist. I couldn't unknow what I now knew. I couldn't unfeel what I had felt in that divine encounter. Through my Malaysian friend, I was connected with a secret network of Iranian believers, former Muslims who had also given their lives to Jesus. They met in homes, in basements, in hidden locations, always moving, always careful, always aware that discovery could mean imprisonment or death. The first time I attended one of these secret church meetings, there were only 12 people present, including me. We met in the basement of a home on the outskirts of Tehran, late at night. The windows were covered with thick blankets, and we spoke in whispers. When they sang worship songs to Jesus, they sang so quietly I could barely hear them, but the presence of God in that room was more powerful than in any mosque I had ever attended.
So I did. I told him everything. About the translation project, about reading the Bible, about the prayers and the confusion, and the sense that God was calling me to something I didn't fully understand but couldn't ignore. I talked for probably an hour. He mostly just listened. He asked a few questions here and there, but mostly he let me talk. When I finally stopped, he was quiet for a moment. Then he said something I'll never forget. He said, "You know what this will cost you, don't you?" I said yes. I knew, but here's the truth. I don't think I really knew. You can read all the testimonies in the world. You can prepare yourself mentally, but you can't know what it feels like to lose everything until it actually happens. The baptism happened 3 weeks later. It was secret. It had to be. We met at someone's home late at night. There were only 5 people there. Me, the pastor, the family who owned the home, and one other woman who had converted years before. There was no church building, no fancy baptismal pool, no choir singing. Just a bathroom with a tub filled with water. The pastor said some prayers. He asked me if I believed that Jesus was the Son of God, that he died for my sins and rose again. I said yes. I meant it with everything in me. Then I stepped into that water, and he baptized me in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I cried through the whole thing. When I came up out of that water, I felt different. I felt clean, like something old and heavy had been washed away. I felt new. One felt terrified. I felt joy and fear all mixed together in a way I'd never experienced before. I tried to keep it secret after that. I really did. I kept going to the mosque with my family. I kept fasting when Ramadan came around. I wore my hijab. I thought maybe I could just believe privately. Keep my family, keep my job, keep my life. Just have Jesus in my heart and nobody would have to know. But it ate at me. Every time I bowed down in the mosque, I felt like I was lying. Every time someone said Allahu Akbar and I repeated it, I felt like I was denying Jesus. I couldn't keep doing it. It felt wrong. It felt like betrayal, but not of my family, of him, of Jesus. After everything I believed he'd done for me, I was pretending he didn't exist. I lasted about 3 months living like that. Then I couldn't anymore. I told my best friend first, Layla. We'd been friends since we were 7 years old. We'd gone through school together, university together, everything. We were like sisters. I thought if anyone would try to understand, it would be her. We met for coffee at our usual place. We sat in the corner like we always did. And I told her. I watched her face as I spoke. I watched it change from confusion to shock to something that looked like disgust. She said I must be joking. I said I wasn't. She said I couldn't be serious. I said I was. She said this was apostasy. Did I understand what I was saying? I said yes, I understood, but I believed in Jesus. I believed he was the Son of God. She stood up. She looked at me like I was a stranger. Then she left. She didn't say goodbye. She didn't finish her coffee. She just left. That was over 2 years ago. She hasn't spoken to me since. I tried to reach out once, a few months later. She blocked my number, but she told people. I don't know if she meant to cause trouble or if she thought she was helping somehow, trying to get people to talk sense into me. But word started spreading. In Cairo, news like that travels fast, especially in our community. Everyone knows everyone. Everyone talks. My mother found a small cross necklace I'd bought. I'd hidden it in my dresser drawer, wrapped in a scarf at the very back. She was putting away clean laundry, and she must have been organizing or something, because she found it. I came home from work and both my parents were in the living room waiting for me. My father was holding the necklace in his hand. My mother's eyes were red from crying. My father said, "What is this?" I could have lied. I thought about it. I could have said I was holding it for a Christian friend, or I found it, or I bought it for a translation client. I had a second to decide, but I was so tired of lying. I was so tired of hiding. I said, "I'm a Christian." My mother started crying. Not quiet crying, sobbing, like someone had died. She kept saying, "No, no, no. How could you do this to us?" My father just stared at me. Then he said, "You are no longer my daughter." That was it. That was all he said. Then he left my room. I heard him on the phone, calling my brothers, my uncle, telling them. My mother stayed, crying, begging me to say I was confused, to say it was a mistake, to say I'd come back to Islam. I said, "Mama, I can't. I believe Jesus is the Son of God." She slapped me. My mother had never hit me in my entire life. She slapped me across the face and said, "Don't say that in this house." I left that night. I packed one bag. I didn't take much. I didn't know where I was going. My brothers were on their way over. I knew if they got there, it would be worse. So I left. I went to the pastor's house. He let me stay there for a few days while I figured things out. But it wasn't safe for either of us. People were asking questions. My father filed a police report saying I'd been kidnapped, brainwashed by Christians. That's what families do sometimes. They say you were tricked, manipulated, so they can get the police involved. I lost my job. My boss called me and said he'd heard disturbing things. He said he couldn't employ someone who had abandoned Islam. He said it very politely. But I was fired. The pastor helped me find a place in another city, Alexandria. I moved there with almost nothing. I got a small apartment, found work tutoring English. I couldn't translate anymore. That world was closed to me. Everyone in that professional circle knew. I was marked. My phone never stopped for weeks. Messages from my family, from old friends, some begging me to come back, some threatening me, some calling me a traitor, a whore, a kafir. I had to change my number. The hardest part wasn't the threats. It was the silence after. When the messages stopped, when I realized my family wasn't going to change their minds. They really meant it. I was dead to them. I have a niece. She was 3 when I left. She's 5 now. I've never seen her again. My brother posted pictures of her birthday party online. I looked at them for so long. I wanted to be there. I wanted to give her a present, but I'm not allowed near her. They've told her Eddie Amina went away. I don't know what else they've told her. There are days when I think I made a mistake. Not about Jesus. I know Jesus is real. I know what I believe. But I think about the cost, and I wonder if I should have just stayed quiet. Just believed in secret. Kept my family. Kept my life. But then I pray, and I feel that same peace I felt when I first read the Gospels. And I know I couldn't have kept lying. I couldn't have kept pretending. I found a small community in Alexandria. Other people like me, secret believers, former Muslims who follow Jesus now. We meet in homes. We pray together. We celebrate communion with bread and grape juice in someone's kitchen. It's not much, but it's real. They became my family. That's the truth. I lost my blood family, but I found brothers and sisters who understand, who made the same choice, who pay the same price. I still love my family. That might sound strange after everything I've told you, but I do. I love them so much it hurts. I pray for them every single day. I pray for my mother especially. I pray that one day she'll understand. I don't think she will, but I pray anyway, because what else can I do? People ask me sometimes if I regret it, if I would do it differently, if I could go back and do it all over again knowing what I know now. That's such a hard question, because the honest answer is complicated. Do I regret the pain I caused my mother? Yes, every day. I think about her crying on that couch and I want to go back and undo it somehow. I regret that my family feels like I betrayed them. I regret that I've brought them shame in our community. I regret that I can't see my niece grow up. I regret missing my brother's wedding. I regret all of those things with everything in me. I regret the cost. I won't lie about that. The cost has been enormous. Some days I wake up and the loneliness is so heavy I can barely breathe. Some days I see a mother and daughter walking together on the street and I have to look away because it hurts too much. Some days I'm eating dinner alone in my tiny apartment and I remember what it felt like to be surrounded by family and I cry into my food. So yes, I regret the cost. I regret the pain. I regret what I've lost. But do I regret following Jesus? Do I regret believing what I believe? No, I don't. I can't. Because for the first time in my entire life, I know what it feels like to be loved. Not because I'm good enough or because I follow the rules or because I've earned it. Just loved because I exist. Loved because God made me and He loves what He made. That kind of love, once you know it, you can't unknown it. Once you experience it, you can't pretend it doesn't exist. Before I met Jesus, I was so tired. I didn't even know how tired I was until I wasn't anymore. I was trying so hard to be good enough, to pray enough, to be modest enough, to be obedient enough, and it was never enough. There was always something more I should be doing, some way I was failing. I lived with this constant low-level anxiety that God was watching me and finding me lacking. But Jesus said, "Come to me, you who are tired and carrying heavy things, and I'll give you rest." And He did. He really did. For the first time, I felt like I could breathe, like I didn't have to earn love, like I was already loved, completely, just as I was. That's what changed everything for me. I know people watching this might not understand. How could faith be worth your family, worth your safety, worth your career, worth your whole life? I get it. I understand why it doesn't make sense from the outside. Before this happened to me, if someone had told me they'd given up everything for their faith, I probably would have thought they were extreme, maybe a little crazy. But all I can say is this: when you encounter something you believe is true, really true, not just intellectually but in your bones, in your soul, you can't just walk away from it because it's inconvenient. You can't unsee it. You can't unfeel it. You can't go back to pretending. I met God, not as a distant judge keeping score of my good deeds and bad deeds, but as a Father who loved me so much He became human. He suffered. He died, just so I could know Him. That kind of love changes everything. It has to, once you know you're loved like that. How can you deny it? How can you pretend it didn't happen? I'm still Amina. I'm still Egyptian. I still love my country. I still love the language, the food, the culture, all of it. I didn't stop being Egyptian when I became Christian. I didn't betray my heritage. I just found something I believe is true. Something truer and deeper than anything I'd known before. And yes, the cost has been terrible. Yes, I've lost almost everything. Yes, there are days when the loneliness is so heavy I don't know how I'll make it through. Yes, I miss my family every single day. Yes, I would give almost anything to have them back. But I can't deny what I know is true. I can't pretend Jesus isn't real because it would make my life easier. I can't go back to Islam just to get my family back because I'd be living a lie. And what kind of life is that? What kind of love is that? If I have to stop being who I really am to receive it. So when people ask me if I'd do it again, knowing everything I know now, knowing what it would cost, here's my answer. Yes, I would do it again. Not because I wanted to hurt anyone. Not because I wanted to lose everything. Not because I'm brave or special or better than anyone else. I'm not. I'm just someone who met Jesus and couldn't walk away. I would do it again because when you find the truth, you can't unfind it. When you're loved like that, you can't unlove it. When you meet God, really meet Him, everything else becomes less important. Not unimportant, but less important. My family is still my family. I still love them. I pray every day that somehow, someday, there might be a way back. That maybe they'll soften. That maybe we'll find each other again. I don't know if that will happen. Probably not. But I hope anyway. In the meantime, I have a different family now. Brothers and sisters who chose Jesus and paid the same price I did. We gather in secret. We pray together. We remind each other we're not alone. We celebrate the fact that even though we lost everything, we found something worth losing everything for. And somehow, even in the loneliness, even in the grief, even in the loss, there's this strange peace. It doesn't make sense, but it's there, like Jesus really meant it when He said He'd give us rest. Like He really meant it when He said He'd never leave us. Like His love really is enough. Even when everything else is gone, I'm still Amina. I'm still learning what it means to follow Jesus. I still cry about what I've lost. I still hope for reconciliation with my family even though I know it's unlikely. I still struggle with loneliness and fear and doubt. But I'm also more free than I've ever been. More loved than I've ever been. More myself than I've ever been. And if I had to choose again, knowing everything, I would choose Jesus. Every time. Thank you for listening to my story.